Hey, man, I'm super excited to have Lacey Sturm on the show. She's got an album out called Life Screams that is tearing up the charts right now. It's on multiple charts. She's got a book coming out and all kinds of cool stuff going on. So, Lacey, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And, hey, where are you playing tonight? I appreciate you taking the time. Where are you guys at?
We're actually in Nashville, and we don't have a show here. We're just coming through, and we're on our way to Texas. We're going to play in San Leon, and also play in San Antonio. So we're on our way there for a couple shows.
Hey, well, I want to ask you a little bit about the new album before we get into some other stuff. And I've been listening to it all day, and the tune I kind of drawn to as my favorite right now is the tune Soldiers. So could you tell me a little bit about that tune?
Well, I was in Los Angeles for this Whosoever event. Do you know the Whosoevers? You know who they are?
No, I don't.
Well, Sonny from POD, the singer, and then Brian Head-Welch from Korn, the guitarist, and this guy named Ronnie Feist from Metal Militia, and some other people got together, and we started it because it was like when Chi from the Deftones had been in a car accident, and he was in a coma at the time. And so we started this, we wanted to put on an event to raise money for his family because they had been off tour for a long time, and the guys needed to get back on the road, and he was still in a coma. And so we all got together, and we pushed for people to pray for Chi, and we made this big movement to pray for him and his family and to raise money for them. And in that process, we ended up starting to put on these big events and tell our stories about overcoming, struggles. So Sonny has a story being involved in gangs and getting out when his mom died of cancer, and Head has a story of overcoming addiction and finding faith, and my story is about struggling with depression, suicide, and finding faith. So I was there in LA, and I had been contacted by the guy that helped me write my first book, The Reason, who knew David Hodges. And David Hodges is the guy who helped Evanescence write their first record, and he's an amazing producer. He's worked with lots of artists, and he was wanting to connect with Flyleaf for a long time, and we never did. And so he heard that I'd left, and he wanted to get in touch with me, so I was excited because I was in LA. So I went over to his house, and we hit it off really well. Me and my husband, and he and his wife, and their 3 girls. They're so cute. They just run around the studio in the house there. He has a studio in his house, and they're in their little princess dresses and all that. It's amazing. But yeah, so we worked on the Soldier War at his house. And it just came out really naturally. It was like I've been to Afghanistan. When I was in Flyleaf, we went to a bunch of bases to play for the soldiers, American soldiers, and we played actually on the 4th of July there a few years ago, and it was an amazing experience. My brother's a ranger in the U.S. Army, actually.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is that I thought there's so many profound moments for me, just shift in my thinking in that experience. But one of them is just this idea that if you love something, and that if you love something so much you're willing to die for it, I just think it's a powerful thing. Obviously, there's potential in us for great destruction because we have freedom to choose, we have freedom in us to choose good or evil, but the same potential we have for destruction, we have that for just amazing glory and goodness, and so I was thinking about, the whole purpose of getting, my story, overcoming suicide and finding faith, and wondering why God would want to save my life and why He cares about me, and realizing that we're each, this great work of God's art. Like every human life has this great potential for glory and goodness, and to be to change the world for the better, even in small ways that is like a ripple that moves everything, and ends up being great ways in the end. So
I love Soldiers, man. It's a cool tune. Now, what else I want to ask you about is I had the absolute pleasure of being in that wild crowd out at Rock on the Range this summer. So tell me about that experience of Rock on the Range.
Well, I think one of the cool things about getting to play those festivals is getting to reconnect with all the bands that we toured with before. It's like a big family reunion backstage, and that's amazing. And I think too that excitement, it's compounded when you play a show. It makes the show even that more exciting because it's sort of like having all your family there. And then that excitement transitions into the audience as well. So it's an amazing time to get to play, and you can feel the energy from the audience, obviously, and I love it.
Now, I am super excited to let the world know that you are going on Shiprock Cruise. We are Shiprock Cruisers. This will be our 5th one in a row. So tell us a little about what you're thinking about Shiprock.
It's sort of the same thing, We get to go out with all these bands that we've toured with before, and we get to reconnect with them, and it sounds like an amazing thing to just get to hang out with your favorite bands, and get to see them and get some some time off. That's one of the cool things about music, is it's sort of a release from all the stuff you go through day to day, and you get to just chill out and relax and enjoy music, and that's and then now with Shiprock, what an amazing idea. You can do that on a cruise. That's amazing.
Oh, we cannot wait. It's the best 4 days of the year, I always tell people, so I'm looking forward to that. Hey, so tell us a little bit about the new music video for Rot, man. A pretty powerful video. Tell folks about that.
Well, we were doing one of the festivals, and actually it was when our debut premiere of our album release happened. We met this girl named Kat, or her name is Kay, sorry. I keep calling her that. She gets angry every time I do that. And I just did it on the radio. Her name's Kay, and she is actually a metal screamer. But she's also an amazing videographer and YouTube blogger, and she showed us some of her videos, and we just thought, hey, you want to shoot a video for us? And we talked about it, and she was like, yeah. She was so excited, and we just went out to Pittsburgh and had this idea, and my sister's actually the main character in the story on the video.
Oh, cool.
But there's a girl who wrote a book in the video that I'd read recently called Fallen, and the girl's name is Annie Lobert. She's a pink hair girl in the video, and she has this story of she was an ex-prostitute, and she was trafficked in Las Vegas, and she goes out and tries to get girls off the street, and she has something called the Destiny House, where she pulls them in a 12-month program to try to get them out of the game, is what she calls it. The game is the book is amazing, but I had read that, and I was so impacted by it and wanted her to be a part of the video, and she loved the song so much, and so in the video, she's sort of promoting the show, but she's also doing her thing. And just looking out for girls on the street, and so she sees someone, and she invites them out to our show, but it's sort of symbolic in that way of my sister finding freedom from just feeling trapped, like there's no way out of this destructive situation she's in. And even though it does talk about human trafficking in the end, where it gives you the ability to help, really help, financially, or figure out how you can get involved or whatever if you want the destructive situation she's in. And even though it does talk about human trafficking in the end, where it gives you the ability to help, really help, financially, or figure out how you can get involved or whatever if you want to, it's really important to me to give that revelation of freedom, that we actually do have freedom to choose things in our lives that we feel trapped about.
Hey, so I know you have a new book that's due out on October 4th, so tell people about your upcoming book.
Well, it's called The Mystery, and my first book was about struggling with depression and suicide and overcoming that, and this one is sort of how I ended up back in the same place, and having a miraculous situation that sort of saved my life. But I was married when I was 19 and divorced when I was 21, and I went through this affair, and I thought I was really following my heart to some good thing, and ended up really in a destructive place. And it sort of reminds me of the Rot video, actually, just how I felt really trapped, and in the end I had to make a choice of whether I was gonna live in fear of there being no future, or if I was just gonna choose to have hope even when I didn't feel hopeful, and keep going. And I ended up choosing to keep going, and I described that whole mentality in the process and how hard it is, and hopefully it'll help somebody, get through the same questions. I think that, I hear so many people tell me about their loved ones who commit suicide because they didn't see any way out, other way, and so many times when you have a loved one commit suicide, you feel so guilty. Like, what could I have done better, and then you start thinking about it yourself, wondering about your own life. And so I hope I can help somebody understand what it feels like, and to get out of that guilt feeling, and also to recognize destructive thought processes in their own life, and choose differently,
Yeah, so The Mystery is due out on October 4th, and of course, Life Screams is out right now, the solo album from Lacey Sturm, a fantastic record. Hey, one more thing before I let you go. I love the album cover with, it's either a crow or a raven, and I noticed you have the same crow or raven on your shoulder, and I have several on myself as well, so I'm just curious about your attraction to the symbolism of that bird.
Yeah, I love the raven for a few reasons. There's all kind of symbolism to me, but one of the things is that they sort of are an unsuspecting creature that's got a lot of life in them beyond what you just see on the outside. They're just not ordinary birds. They're really brilliant, but they also they have to fight to survive as well, like when they're babies. A lot of times the mother just push them out the nest and they just have to figure it out on their own, and there's the miracle for them to survive, in a lot of ways. And there's also some religious symbolism to me too about it, about how it's, there's a story about, this prophet being fed by ravens in the wilderness. And I think a lot of people who have, that are sort of prophetic in nature, that they feel sort of in a wilderness. And I think what I'm called to do is sort of feed those ones, So.
Very well put, and thanks for sharing that with us. So, man, Lacey Sturm, I had a blast seeing you at Rock on the Range. I'm really enjoying the new record, and thrilled to say this, I can't wait to see you on the ship in a couple of months. So, thanks so much for being with us on the Marmy Rock Show tonight.
Dude, thanks for having this interview. You asked really great questions.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks. I appreciate you saying that. So, and we'll definitely we'll say hi on the boat, man, and look forward to seeing you perform there.
Yeah, see you soon.